So how has your Claude MD file changed over time? What have you learned in the 1,500 hours you've put in through trial and error and making mistakes?
So I think this is actually what a lot of people get wrong about Claude MD, which is you don't want very much in your Claude MD file. So Claude MDs should be very, very, very lean, especially in a team repository like this. And generally, if we start looking through the repository, what we see is that there's actually multiple levels of Claude MD files. And so we'll see here, here's the root level. This one loads every session. The remaining files are going to start to load progressively as you type natural language queries, which is something that we're going to walk through. And this is really important because the way that this repo is structured is around the theory of context management. So I like to call this like context 101, but there's 4 key concepts that you need to know about context. One is, what is context? Context is the information that is in a given session with an LLM. Like, what is the information that the LLM can access at a given point in time? The next is the context window, which is how much information can the LLM hold? And there's all the frontier labs recently upped this to 1 million tokens, which sounds a little bit jargony, but basically means that it can hold 7 to 8 novels worth of text, which, if you start to think about it, is a lot, but the amount of docs that are produced by a given team and company is a lot more than that. The next part is compaction. So when your context window gets full, all that information needs to get compressed down so that the LLM can keep going either in the conversation or in the work that it's going to do. But when that happens, you lose a lot of fidelity. And so you have kind of a compressed summary of the information, which is much less useful. And then the fourth concept is thinking room. And this is really important because thinking room is basically the difference between how much information you have in the conversation and how big the context window is. And so that is where the model can think and reason. And if you have a lot of information, the more and more information you have, just like a person, the less and less room there is to think and reason. And so the whole repository is structured around helping Claude read and use the right information at the right time in order to effectively work on the task at hand. And a lot of people don't know this, but I have this little bar in my status line, and it's actually going to monitor how much context I'm using as we write queries throughout the repo. And this is going to help us kind of see how much context is being consumed by the conversation.
Awesome. I hadn't actually seen the nested Claude MD files before. So what do those look like inside there?
Yeah. So what we're going to see in the repo is that the Claude MDs are generally just doc indexes. So this is just telling Claude what is in this folder and what is the purpose of it. And the reason for that is if you didn't have these doc indexes, Claude would actually need to be running explore agents to search the repository for any queries that you write. So I actually want to do a couple examples to kind of show how this works. So in the product folder, one of the things we might have is who our customers are. And what's really cool about how you structure this repo is I'm going to say who are my top customers? And what we're going to see here is we're actually going to be able to see how Claude navigates it. So it's loading these Claude MD files and using the doc indexes to navigate throughout the repository and find the exact information needed to answer my query.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jira Product Discovery. If you're like most product managers, you're probably in Jira, tracking tickets and managing the backlog. But what about everything that happens before delivery? Jira Product Discovery helps you move your discovery, prioritization, and even road mapping work out of spreadsheets and into a purpose-built tool designed for product teams. Capture insights, prioritize what matters, and create roadmaps you can easily tailor for any audience. And because it's built to work with Jira, everything stays connected from idea to delivery. Used by product teams at Canva, Deliveroo, and even The Economist. Check out why and try it for free today at Atlassian.com/product-discovery. That's Atlassian.com/product-discovery. Jira Product Discovery. Build the right thing. I hope you enjoyed that short clip. You can check out the full episode here.